All right, dream enthusiasts, buckle up, because we are going on a deep dive into dreams.
Yeah.
And, we've got some really cool stuff for you guys today, like scientific research, historical perspectives, even a little paranormal stuff.
Yeah, we're going to give you like a brand new dream decoder ring. So you can look at your dreams differently than, like, did that giant talking banana really mean I should quit my job?
Okay, I like where this is going because, dreams can be pretty weird.
Yeah.
But before we get to those talking bananas,
Right.
friends, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share so we can keep growing and bringing you the best explorations into the most fascinating topics in the universe.
Yeah.
Let's start with something more fundamental.
Yeah.
Think about it. Everyone dreams, but it's such a personal experience. It's like we all have this secret world in our heads that we visit every night. And sometimes it feels like our dreams are trying to tell us something, even if we don't get it.
Right. That's part of what makes them so fascinating. They offer a glimpse into the subconscious, our deepest fears, desires, even creative potential.
Okay, but let's back up a bit. Dreams weren't just something people started thinking about recently. We're talking ancient myths and rituals here, right?
Absolutely. For centuries, dreams were seen as supernatural, divine. Messages from the gods, journeys into the spirit world, that sort of thing. It's kind of crazy how dreams have captured our imaginations for, centuries.
Right.
We've got ancient civilizations who saw them as messages from the gods or glimpses into the future. Some even thought they were portals to other worlds.
Whoa, priddles.
I know. And the coolest part is how science is finally starting to figure out how the dreaming brain works.
So it's not just our brains, randomly firing while we sleep.
Not at all. The research suggests it's actually a super complex brain function that's been with us for, forever.
Interesting.
And get this, we only discovered REM sleep, where those super vivid dreams happen, in the 1950s. So our scientific understanding of dreams is still pretty young.
Wow, the 1950s, that's not that long ago. I mean, people were studying dreams before that, right? Way before Freud.
Absolutely. Long before Freud, you've got figures like Aristotle trying to figure out what dreams were all about.
Aristotle?
Yeah, he believed they were formed from, leftover sensory impressions from the day, like echoes of our experiences.
Okay, that makes sense.
But he also thought they could be prophetic sometimes, like a glimpse into the future.
Wait, prophetic dreams? Like actually seeing the future?
Well, that's still a huge debate. What's fascinating is that Aristotle wasn't alone in that thinking.
Really?
Yeah. Heraclitus, another pre-Freudian thinker, thought dreams were connected to the underworld. It's kind of like a precursor to those later theories about the unconscious mind.
Huh, the unconscious mind. So they were onto something.
It is wild, right? They didn't have the tools we have today, but still tapped into some pretty profound ideas.
Imagine if they had access to, fMRI machines. What would Aristotle make of that? It would probably blow his mind.
I know, right? That's mind-blowing even for us today. Oh, and another figure worth mentioning is Gustav Fechner.
Okay, never heard of him.
He was a pioneer in psychophysics, and he believed the psyche had two sides, a day face for when we're awake and a night face for the dream state.
A night face for dreams. That's kind of a cool way to think about it. Like we transform when we sleep, shift into this whole other mode of being.
Right. It's like we become different versions of ourselves.
So with all these early theories floating around, how did Freud and Jung, change the game?
Well, Freud's book, The Interpretation of Dreams, totally revolutionized how we think about dreams. He was the one who introduced this idea of the unconscious mind, this hidden place where all our repressed desires and emotions are stored.
The unconscious.
Yeah, and he believed that dreams gave us a window into that hidden world.
So all our secret stuff is bubbling up in our dreams.
In a way, yeah. He also had this theory about dream symbolism, suggesting that the everyday objects and scenarios in our dreams could actually have hidden meanings.
Right, like that classic example, a cigar isn't always just a cigar.
Exactly. But of course, not everyone agreed with Freud's interpretations. Carl Jung, another big name in psychology, he had this theory about the collective unconscious.
Collective unconscious.
Yeah, this shared well of universal experiences and these things called archetypes that our dreams can tap into.
Interesting. So for Jung, dreams weren't just about, personal stuff.
Right. He believed they reflected something much bigger, something connecting all of humanity.
So less about deciphering personal codes, more about these universal patterns.
Exactly. And that debate between Freudian and Jungian dream interpretation is still going on today. It just shows you how complex dreams are. There's still so much to uncover.
Definitely complex.
Dreams have captivated humans for centuries, right? Myths, debates, scientific inquiries.
Yeah, it's true. Do dreams actually, mean anything? Are they just random neural noise, or could they be something more?
That's the question, isn't it? It's been debated for centuries, and in fact, even respected academics, like the authors of The Wisdom of Dreams, they were actually hesitant to even explore dream meaning because they were worried about their careers.
No.
Yeah, they thought it might jeopardize their careers, which tells you something about how deep that idea is, that dreams are meaningless, but the evidence just keeps piling up, suggesting otherwise.
So even scientists are starting to think there's more to dreams than meets the eye.
Yeah, absolutely. And The Wisdom of Dreams talks about this idea of listening with the third ear. And that's not just about analyzing the content of the dream, but also your own personal context, your emotions, what's going on in your life when you have the dream, all that stuff.
So context is key. Got it.
Yeah.
But even before, modern psychology came along, people were fascinated with dreams.
Right. Oh, yeah. Definitely think about the late 1800s. Spiritualism was huge back then. And you had Charles Leadbeater, who wrote this book called Dreams, What They Are and How They Are Caused. And he was exploring some pretty out there concepts.
Like seances and talking to the dead?
Well, sort of. He was really into this idea of the astral body, this kind of subtle, energetic counterpart to our physical body. And he believed that during sleep, that astral body, it becomes super sensitive, almost like it's stepping out of the physical realm into another dimension of consciousness.
So basically astral projection?
Right, exactly.
That's pretty wild. And what's interesting is that even today, some scientists are exploring the idea of consciousness existing beyond the brain.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe Leadbeater was onto something, even if, the language he was using was a little bit, mystical.
Okay, here's where I need my mind blown. Leadbeater also talked about the brain receiving external thoughts during sleep, this thought atmosphere we're all swimming in. So what I'm hearing is that my dreams could be influenced by what other people are thinking.
It's a fascinating concept, isn't it? Imagine your brain is picking up thoughts and emotions from the collective unconscious, like a radio receiver tuning into different frequencies.
Okay, I'm officially creeped out now.
It makes you wonder what kind of mental baggage you're absorbing in your sleep.
All right, let's bring it back to solid science for a minute.
Okay.
What do brain researchers have to say about all this?
Well, in When Brains Dream, neuroscientists Antonio Zadra and Robert Stickold really dive deep into the inner workings of the dreaming brain. And they have this model called NXTE, which stands for Network Exploration to Understand Possibilities.
That sounds complicated.
It's actually pretty cool. Think of your brain like this massive network of interconnected ideas and memories during the day. You're mostly focused on the strong, obvious connections.
Right.
But during sleep, this neck-up-teep model suggests that your brain starts exploring the weaker, more subtle connections, the ones you might not even be consciously aware of.
So it's like my brain is playing a giant game of connect the dots while I'm sleeping.
Exactly. And what's amazing is that these seemingly random connections could actually help you prepare for future possibilities. It's like your brain is running simulations, exploring different scenarios, potential outcomes.
So my dreams are basically a training ground for real life.
In a way, yeah. And it's all tied in with this idea of sleep-dependent memory evolution. So we know that sleep is essential for consolidating memories, making those connections stronger, more permanent.
So basically sleeping is the best way to become a genius. Who knew?
Well, it's not quite that simple, but sleep definitely plays a crucial role in learning, creativity, problem solving, all that good stuff.
No. Hold on a second. Does all this amazing memory magic only happen during REM sleep? What about those weird half-formed dreams I sometimes have when I'm just drifting off?
That's another really cool thing. So while REM sleep is definitely prime years, Dreamtime research suggests that dreaming may not be limited to just that stage. We could be having dreamlike experiences throughout the night, but we simply don't remember them as easily.
So all those times I wake up and I have that vague sense of having dreamt something amazing, but I can't remember a single detail.
Yeah.
Maybe my brain was actually hard at work in dreamland.
It's definitely possible, and it makes you wonder what other hidden layers of dreaming are just waiting to be uncovered.
Okay, so we've established that dreams might be doing something important, but what about all those crazy symbols and metaphors? I mean, how are we supposed to make sense of a dream where I'm being chased by a giant talking banana wearing my grandma's wedding dress?
Yeah, that's where things get really fun and where the real decoding begins, dreams. They speak a different language. One that's heavy on symbolism, metaphor, imagery. It's like your unconscious mind is trying to communicate with you in this secret code.
I've been fascinated by the language of dreams. It's like this puzzle waiting to be solved.
Exactly. And to help crack that code, we can look at the work of Carl Jung and his concept of archetypes.
Wait, isn't Jung the guy with the whole collective unconscious thing?
He is Jung believed that we all share this common pool of unconscious imagery and symbols, and these archetypes, these universal patterns of energy or behavior, they often show up in our dreams in very recognizable forms.
So like the wise old man, the rebellious trickster, the nurturing mother figure, those kinds of characters.
Exactly. For example, in Neresti's Understanding Dreams, she talks about how a stern father figure might represent your persona, the mask you wear for the outside world, while a shadowy figure could represent your shadow, those hidden aspects of yourself you might be afraid to confront.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this works. So these archetypes provide a framework for understanding the characters that populate our dreams.
Exactly. And the key is to look beyond the literal interpretation and consider what these figures might represent in your own life.
This is pretty mind-blowing stuff, but are dreams always trying to teach us something profound? Can't they just be, random entertainment sometimes, like a mental movie marathon?
Well, even if dreams aren't always, delivering these profound messages, they can certainly offer inspiration and creative breakthroughs. Take, for example, the story of August Kekulé, the chemist who discovered the structure of the benzene ring. He literally dreamt the solution.
Wait, seriously, he dreamt about molecules?
Not exactly. He dreamt of a snake biting its own tail, which sparked the idea of a ring-shaped molecular structure for benzene.
Wow. Talk about an aha moment that makes you wonder what other creative solutions are hiding in our dreams.
Right.
Maybe I should start paying more attention to those crazy nighttime adventures.
Yeah, you never know what gems of insight might be lurking in your subconscious.
But hold on, before we get too carried away with dream interpretation, I think it's important to remember that not every dream symbol has like a fixed meaning, right?
You're absolutely right. We need to be cautious about overly literal dream interpretation. Just because you dream about a snake doesn't automatically mean you're dealing with hidden enemies or facing some kind of temptation.
So ditch the dream dictionary.
Pretty much the meaning of any dream symbol, whether it's a snake, a house, or a giant talking banana, it's deeply personal. It depends on your own unique experience, associations, and the context of the dream itself.
So each dream is like a custom-tailored message written in a language that only I can fully understand.
Precisely, and that's what makes dream interpretation so challenging, but also so rewarding. It's a journey of self-discovery.
Okay, I have a question about dream symbols that has always bugged me. Animals seem to play a big role in my dreams. Are they just stand-ins for like our primal instincts?
That's a common interpretation, but it might not be the whole story. James Hillman, a prominent Jungian psychologist, actually challenges that view in his book, The Dream and the Underworld.
Ooh, the dream and the underworld sounds intense.
It is. Hillman suggests that dream animals might be carriers of soul, representing a deeper connection to our unconscious.
So the animals in my dreams aren't just projections of my own animalistic urges. They could be something more mysterious.
Exactly. Hillman proposes that dream animals might not be ours at all. They could be messengers from another realm of consciousness, carrying messages and insights from the depths of our psyche.
Okay, now that is officially mind-blowing.
And it ties in with Hillman's fascinating concept of the dream ego, which he argues can be quite different from our waking identity. In dreams, we might find ourselves acting in ways that surprise or even shock us, behaving in ways that we would never consider in our waking lives.
So it's like we're stepping into a different personality, exploring a side of ourselves we might not even know exists.
Exactly. And this is partly because dreams belong to the underworld, as Hillman puts it, a realm where the usual rules of logic and waking reality don't necessarily apply.
Speaking of rules that don't apply, what's the deal with time in dreams?
Yeah.
It always seems so fluid and unpredictable, like one minute it's Tuesday and the next minute it's suddenly 1987.
Time in dreams can be incredibly strange. It can speed up, slow down, or even disappear entirely in The Dream and the Underworld. Hillman describes dreamers experiencing their watches malfunctioning or feeling a sense of urgency like time is running out.
It's like our normal perception of linear time gets thrown out the window in the dream state.
Exactly. It's as if the dream world operates on a different timeline, one that's more fluid, symbolic, and less bound by the constraints of our waking reality.
Okay, we've explored dream meaning, symbolism, even the curious nature of the dream ego and dream time. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I have to ask about the elephant in the room, or maybe it's more like a shadowy figure lurking in the corner of our minds. What about the more unexplained, even paranormal aspects of dreaming?
Ah, yes, those mysterious realms where science and spirituality collide.
I'm talking about things like telepathic dreams, precognitive visions, maybe even a touch of astral projection. Are we ready to venture into those uncharted territories?
Let's do it, but buckle up, because things are about to get really weird. Welcome back, Dream Explorers, to part 2 of our journey into dreamland.
Last time we explored some pretty mind-blowing concepts, like the idea that dreams might be more than just random neural firings, the potential for creative breakthroughs, and even that whole concept of a dream ego separate from our waking identity.
Yeah.
Oh, and we also dipped our toes into the murky waters of the paranormal.
And now it's time to dive headfirst into those mysterious depths.
All right, I'm ready to take the plunge. Let's start with telepathic dreams. Is it really possible for two people to communicate through their dreams? I mean, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It does, doesn't it? But there have been some really fascinating studies exploring this very possibility in When Brains Dream. They talk about the work of Montague Ullman and Stanley Krippner at the Maimonides Dream Laboratory. And they conducted these experiments where a sender would focus on a specific image while a receiver slept in another room, and then afterwards they would analyze the receiver's dreams to see if they contained any elements related to that target image.
Wait, so they were basically trying to send pictures through people's dreams?
Essentially, yes. And some of the studies actually showed statistically significant results, suggesting that information might actually be transmitted telepathically through dreams.
That's wild.
Oh.
But I know the scientific community is still pretty skeptical about all this, right?
Definitely, it's a very controversial area of research. One of the main challenges is that it's incredibly difficult to design experiments that can definitively prove or disprove the existence of telepathy. There are so many variables to consider, and it's hard to rule out other explanations like coincidence or unconscious bias.
So we're left with a giant question mark hanging over the whole telepathy thing. But even if we can't scientifically prove it, there's so many anecdotal accounts of people having shared dreams or dreams that seem to accurately predict future events.
Absolutely, and those stories, while perhaps not scientifically valid, can still be incredibly compelling. They tap into that deep-seated human fascination with the possibility that our minds are interconnected in ways that we don't fully understand.
Okay, speaking of predicting the future, let's talk about precognitive dreams. Are those just lucky guesses, or could there be something more to it?
Precognitive dreams are definitely one of the most mind-boggling aspects of dreaming, and there's a long history of people reporting dreams that seem to accurately foreshadow real-life events.
I've definitely had dreams that felt eerily prophetic, like I was getting a glimpse into the future. But isn't it more likely that those were just coincidences, or maybe my brain making connections that I wasn't consciously aware of?
That's certainly a possibility. Our brains are incredibly complex, and they're constantly processing information even when we're not aware of it. So it's possible that what we perceive as precognitive dreams are simply our subconscious minds picking up on subtle cues or patterns that our conscious minds miss.
But what if there's more to it than that? What if our dreams really are tapping into a different dimension of time, where past, present, and future aren't as separate as we perceive them to be?
Now that's where things get really interesting. Our understanding of time and causality is still evolving. What if our linear perception of time is just one slice of a much larger multidimensional reality? And what if our dreams give us access to a realm where those boundaries become more fluid and permeable?
Okay, my brain is officially starting to melt.
Mm.
But I love how these questions challenge our conventional assumptions about how reality works.
That's the beauty of exploring the mysteries of dreaming. It forces us to expand our thinking and consider possibilities that might seem outlandish at first glance.
Okay, we've tiptoed around the edges of the paranormal, but now I'm ready to dive into the deep end. Let's talk about astral projection. Is it really possible to leave our physical bodies and travel to other realms while we're dreaming?
Astral projection is definitely a controversial topic. It's the idea that we have a subtle body, sometimes called the astral body or the etheric body, that can detach from our physical form and travel independently.
So like an out-of-body experience.
Exactly. Some people believe that astral projection happens spontaneously during sleep or deep meditation, while others claim it's a skill that can be developed through practice and intention.
I've heard stories of people who claim to have traveled to distant places or even visited deceased loved ones through astral projection. But isn't there a risk of getting lost or trapped in the astral realm?
Those are common concerns, and they definitely add to the mystique surrounding astral projection. But it's important to remember that there's no scientific evidence to support any of these claims.
So we're venturing into the realm of belief and personal experience rather than hard science.
Exactly, and that's perfectly fine. We're not here to debunk or validate anyone's beliefs. Our goal is simply to explore these fascinating concepts and encourage you to think critically and form your own conclusions.
Well, I have to admit, I'm fascinated by the idea that our consciousness might be capable of experiencing reality in ways that we haven't even begun to imagine.
Absolutely. And whether or not you believe in astral projection, there's something undeniably alluring about the concept of transcending the limitations of our physical bodies and exploring other realms of existence.
It's like tapping into a hidden potential within ourselves, a doorway to infinite possibilities.
Okay, we've covered some pretty mind-bending concepts in this segment, but before we get too carried away with the paranormal, let's bring it back down to earth for a minute and talk about some of the more practical applications of dream work.
Sounds good to me. After all, not all dreams are about interdimensional travel and psychic powers.
Exactly. For many people, dreams are a source of valuable insights into their own emotions, relationships, and creative potential.
So how can we start tapping into that potential?
Well, one of the most effective ways is to keep a dream journal by writing down your dreams as soon as you wake up. You can capture those fleeting images and emotions before they fade away. They can be really fleeting. You have to catch them quickly.
Makes sense. Speaking of catching dreams, what about lucid dreaming? That's where you actually become aware that you're dreaming while it's happening, right? But this is where things get really trippy. Can anyone learn to do that?
Absolutely. There are a few techniques that can help, like reality testing, which basically involves asking yourself, am I dreaming, throughout the day? And also dream journaling can actually help with lucid dreaming.
So it's like you're planting that seed of awareness in your mind
Yeah.
so that eventually it pops up even when you're asleep.
Yeah, exactly. You're training your mind to be more aware of its own state of consciousness.
That's wild. So what happens once you realize you're dreaming? Can you actually, control what happens in the dream?
It takes practice, but yeah, people can learn to direct their dreams, change the scenery, interact with the characters, even confront their fears in a safe environment. It's like becoming the director of your own subconscious movie.
That's amazing. It's like
Yeah.
all that potential is just locked away in our minds, waiting for us to unlock it.
One that's often recommended is called mild D, mnemonic induction of lucid dreams.
Mnemonic induction, that sounds complicated.
It's pretty simple, actually. As you're falling asleep, you just repeat a phrase to yourself like, I will know I'm dreaming, or I will become lucid. You're basically trying to put that intention into your mind so it carries over into your dream.
It's like programming your brain to become aware.
That's a good way to put it. And the more you practice these techniques, the more likely you are to have a lucid dream.
Okay, so let's say we've got lucid dreaming down. What can we actually do with it? Is it just for fun, or are there, real applications?
That's where it gets really interesting. Lucid dreaming can be used for all sorts of things, from facing your fears to boosting creativity, even exploring spiritual stuff.
Wow, so it's like having this whole other world you can control, where you can experiment, learn, and grow without any real-world limits.
That's the idea. Imagine being able to face your fears in a safe space. Or practice a new skill without worrying about messing up. You could even tap into your subconscious for creative inspiration.
It's like having your own dream laboratory where you can run experiments on yourself. That's mind-blowing. I've tried keeping a dream journal in the past, but I often find that I can only remember fragments of my dreams, or they just disappear from my memory as soon as I try to write them down.
That's a common experience.
Right.
The key is to make dream journaling a regular habit. The more you practice recalling and recording your dreams, the better you'll become at remembering them.
So it's like a muscle that you need to exercise.
Exactly. And the more you pay attention to your dreams, the more likely you are to notice recurring themes, symbols, and emotions.
And once you start noticing those patterns, you can begin to explore their possible meanings and connections to your waking life.
Right. It's like you're learning a new language, the language of your own subconscious. And as you become more fluent in that language, you can start to decipher the messages your dreams are trying to convey.
So dream journaling is basically like having a direct line to our inner wisdom.
In a way, yes, it's a powerful tool for self-discovery and personal growth.
Okay, I'm sold. I'm going to dust off my old dream journal and start paying more attention to those nighttime messages.
That's great to hear. Remember, even the most bizarre and seemingly nonsensical dreams can offer valuable insights if we're willing to listen with an open mind and a curious heart.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this segment, from telepathic dreams to astral projection to the practical art of dream journaling. But the journey isn't over yet.
We still have much more to explore.
That's right. There are still countless mysteries hidden within the realm of dreams waiting to be uncovered. So stay tuned for part 3, where we'll delve even deeper into the nature of dreams and uncover even more mind-blowing insights. Welcome back, dream adventurers, to the final chapter of our deep dive into dreamland.
We've journeyed through the science and symbolism of dreams, explored the uncharted territories of the paranormal, and even dipped our toes into the practical art of dream journaling.
It's been a wild ride, But I have a feeling we've only scratched the surface of what dreams have to teach us.
You're absolutely right. The deeper we delve into the world of dreams, the more we realize how much we still don't know.
Okay, so let's talk about some of those unanswered questions like, why do some dreams feel so incredibly vivid and real, while others fade away like wisps of smoke as soon as we wake up?
Well, that's a great question, and it's one that researchers are still trying to figure out. One possibility is that the level of emotional intensity in a dream might play a role in how vividly we remember it. Think about it. The dreams that really stick with us, the ones we can recall in vivid detail years later, are often the ones that evoked strong emotions. Fear, joy, sadness, anger.
That makes sense. I know I tend to remember nightmares much more clearly than pleasant dreams.
Exactly. Those emotionally charged dreams seem to leave a deeper imprint on our memory. And there's also the factor of neurochemical activity during different stages of sleep. Some research suggests that dreams occurring during certain sleep stages, particularly those rich in REM sleep, might be more likely to be recalled upon waking.
So the timing of the dream within our sleep cycle could influence how clearly we remember it. Fascinating.
It is, but there's still a lot we don't understand about the relationship between sleep stages, brain activity, and dream recall.
Okay, here's another mystery that's always bugged me. Why are some dreams so bizarre and nonsensical, while others seem to follow a more logical, even narrative structure?
That's a question that has puzzled dream researchers for centuries. One theory is that the more bizarre logical dreams might be a reflection of the way our brains process information during sleep of time. Remember that next teep model we talked about earlier?
The one where our brains are making connections between seemingly unrelated ideas?
Exactly. During REM sleep in particular, our brains are firing in all sorts of unusual patterns, and it's possible that those random neural firings are manifesting as those strange and surreal dream experiences.
So those weird dreams are basically just my brain doing a random data dump.
Well, it's a possibility, but it's also worth considering that even the most nonsensical dreams might contain symbolic meanings or emotional undercurrents. Sometimes the strangest imagery can actually point to a deeper truth or insight.
It's like our unconscious minds are trying to communicate with us in a language that's both cryptic and compelling.
Exactly. And sometimes the key to understanding those messages is to embrace the absurdity, to let go of our need for logic and rationality, and allow ourselves to be swept away by that surreal, dreamlike flow.
I like that. Embrace the weirdness.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about something that I think a lot of people struggle with: nightmares. We touched on them briefly earlier, but I'd love to dive a bit deeper into the psychology of nightmares and what we could do to prevent or cope with them.
Nightmares are definitely a topic that deserves more attention. They can be incredibly distressing, and for some people, they can have a significant impact on their sleep quality and overall well-being.
In When Brains Dream, Zadra and Stickgold explain that nightmares are essentially highly disturbing dreams that often wake us up feeling scared, anxious, or even physically distressed.
And while occasional nightmares are a normal part of the human experience, frequent or recurring nightmares can be a sign of underlying psychological issues such as anxiety, depression, or PTSD.
They mention that trauma-related nightmares in particular can be incredibly vivid and realistic, often replaying the traumatic event in terrifying detail.
And those nightmares can be incredibly disruptive to sleep, leading to insomnia, sleep deprivation, and even a fear of going to sleep.
So what can people do if they're struggling with nightmares? Is there any hope for a good night's sleep?
Thankfully, yes, there are effective treatments available, both psychological and pharmacological.
Zadra and Stickgold highlight the use of imagery rehearsal therapy, a technique that involves rewriting the nightmare script and practicing that new, less frightening version during waking hours.
This technique has been shown to be incredibly effective in reducing the frequency and intensity of nightmares. And it's important to remember that everyone's experience with nightmares is unique. What works for one person might not work for another. So it's crucial to find a treatment approach that addresses your specific needs and concerns.
So if you're struggling with nightmares, don't suffer in silence. Reach out to a mental health professional or a sleep specialist who can help you explore different treatment options.
Exactly. There's no shame in seeking help, and there are effective solutions available that can help you reclaim your peaceful sleep.
Okay, we've explored the mysteries, the science, and even the darker side of dreamland as we wrap up this deep dive. I'm curious to know what you find most fascinating about dreams.
For me, it's the sheer potential that dreams hold. They offer a window into our unconscious minds, a source of creativity, and a way to connect with something larger than ourselves.
I love that dreams is a portal to infinite possibilities.
Exactly. And I think the more we learn about dreams, the more we realize how much they can teach us about ourselves, about the nature of reality, and about the boundless potential of the human mind.
Well said, and I think that's a perfect note to end on.
Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of dreams. We hope you've enjoyed exploring these fascinating concepts and that you'll continue to pay attention to the messages and insights your dreams offer. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more mind-expanding deep dives into the mysteries of the universe. Until next time, sweet dreams.